we interviewed you before for the S3E1 project. I think we've done that
Mhm.
twice before in the past, and we featured your work before. But today we're going to talk about your other project, Send Nudes. Can you give me a little bit of an overview of this project? And I'm just going to try to not laugh at your shirt every time I see it.
Yeah, of course. Well, the Send Nudes project, we have like two pieces right here that I'm working on.
Uh-huh.
That project started in 2018 with the idea, well, like I always told this story. Me and Andrea, my wife, now my wife, at that moment, she was my girlfriend. So she moved to Italy to do some workshop, and she were there like 4 5 months. So we were
Mm-hmm.
separated, and I was really into sexting, but she wasn't. So it was like really how can I
Incomodable.
say? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, very incomodable because I really, I mean, since I have memory, I always been someone who uses like, well, how can I say it? Like we have this retinal excitación retinal. I don't know how to translate it. Uh,
uh, like a visual excitement, or
yeah, like visual excitement, probably. Yeah.
uh-huh.
So I'm always like looking for the eroticism in images.
Mm-hmm.
So saying that, I think that when Andrea went to be like very far away in another continent with different time, so it was for me like very I really need those images. So
Right.
to like when cell phones come out, we have like this change of the relationships between images and text. I remember like in high school where I just have like this cell phone, Nokia cell phone that was indestructible, and you can only send like messages of three or two ideas as much, right? So
Right.
nowadays we have like this video, we can like Zoom, and we can connect. And with that said, she was like, "Oh, you are like very weird though, because you wanted to me be naked. What about if those images leak and everyone see me?" And so I was like confused because I felt like I wasn't the only person in the world who wants to feed to send my nudes and to want to receive nudes. And in that time, I think there was this idea of making like the Olivia law. Do you know the Olivia?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
in that period, there was like the mission to make it them to make the law like via the viable. So I remember like I started to make some research on that theme, and then I come up with a call, with an open call to the public to see if there were like more people having these ideas of having relationships between through the images. So I opened this call to my friends, of course, at the beginning because it was very strange to ask people for nudes for some guy who wanted to paint them. Yeah, it was a very um, weird at the beginning of the project. So I started to ask friends to review the call and to apply. And then I started to receive many images. At the beginning, some very of the images were from friends, but since I started to publish the images through Instagram, people started to come out with me to send me their nudity. So I have worked with this project during these 5-6 years, and nowadays I have done like 150 images. Those are made in oil, but I have others. I have others. Well, the project started in watercolor, so you can
Okay.
see since
Wow.
since I wanted to be uh, a quick medium, like very easy to use. Well, actually, watercolor is not the easiest one. I actually hate it because you have to have like control of the color
Right.
and a lot of color theory. But well, at that time I had the idea that it was easy, and at the beginning was like very like fluid. You can like have like this watercolor going around, and I didn't want it to be like exactly the person that I was portraying. Just like it was just like the idea of having them represented in the watercolor, and I with the idea of the project also was to be possible to travel around the world since it was open to the world. And when I was invited at the first time to the States, I went with the with the artworks in my maleta. So
Your
all
suitcase, right?
all the suitcase, all the artwork was like 50 watercolors. Was They were like fit very well in my
Right.
suitcase.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And
that's
and
why.
do you give criteria to the people who are participating in terms of like composition or lighting, or do you give any kind of prompts or anything to sort of help you orient your compositions and
The idea of the project is that people can decide whatever they send. I only ask for them to show the cell phone or the camera in order to have this dialogue of having. I mean, you can do a selfie without showing the cell phone, right? You can use a
sure?
tripod or so, but having the cell phone see in the context of the painting makes like a dialogue in between me as the artist and the people who are sending. It has like more link. Yeah, so that's
Like
the only thing I want.
it creates an intention. Like there is a like a request has been made, and then you see them fulfilling the request, sort of thing. It's just interesting because within the gay community, this ideal of sharing nude images is like a couple of decades. Like it feels like Uh, so in that in within the gay community, I think there's a lot more comfort with that, to the point of where if you ask a gay man to borrow their cell phone, the first thing they're going to think is, what is it you're going to find in my cell phone? And what will you think when you find this or something like that? Uh, so it's a very interesting to do it this way. I did sort of a similar project where I would take people's online dating profile photos and I would
Okay.
do a painting of it and then ask them to use that as their main profile picture and then see if they got a better result uh, from the painting over just using a basic photo. But I mean, I think about like all the photos that I've seen in applications and things like that, and I think there's so many. There's such a lack of consideration for composition and like what's in the environment and things, that tells people so much about who that person really is, despite like what all the words in their profile might have said or something like that. So I'm kind of curious, do you take liberty with the environment or do you document it as it appears?
Well, in that point, I have like this idea. Well, it's not mine. I read it. I don't remember where, but as cultural community that we are in the art scene, we are very used to female nudes. Like
Right.
all the art history has recorded this how to portray a female nude. But in the other hand, like having male nudes, there are like just like they are stand or well in the nudes send nudes context. I receive a lot of dick pics, for example, right? Because the idea of having portrait, well, yeah, as a man, you have to show how big you are.
Right.
You
There's
know?
certain there's requirements like you compose yourself because you want to be perceived in a certain way, or at least
Yes.
your physicality needs to be perceived in a specific way.
So at the beginning, yeah, I received like a lot of them, and I also like write to them and saying that, well, you can try to expand the image in order to we can see a little bit more because and that's also one point that I wanted to show the cell phone, because with the cell phone you have to have like a wide image,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I do not retouch them. I only adjust some parameters like light,
Mm-hmm.
mostly light, because some of them are very dark and some others are like really brilliant, so I just like have like this uh, reorganized, but not as much. I wanted to the voice of the author who take the picture comes out with the artwork, so in that sense every piece has two artists, right? Like the
Right.
voice of
It's a
the people that
collaboration.
send them. Yeah, it's a collaboration. Mhm.
And so are all the pieces like titled with their names or their WhatsApp phone number? Like
That would be a really good idea.
could you imagine? At a gallery show and then it was like
Yeah.
you're like, what the heck's going on? Why am I getting all these penis pictures?
Yes. I didn't think about it. That would be like really crazy project. No, they are like the first letters of their names.
Okay.
So it's like A.G, right?
Okay.
Or yeah, but well, at the beginning there was two letters, but now since I have like 8 or 5 people with the same initials,
Uh,
I have to start thinking in the whole name. Well, with here in Mexico works because we have usually 2 names and 2 last names, so it's
right.
like 4 letters. Yeah, but yeah, I didn't think much about the name because I wanted also to make this idea of desexualized, like not not think in the person which is portrayed, but well, not think in the body, but in the person,
Okay.
right? Like since I don't know if they are uh, yeah, bisexual or well from the
Okay.
community or heterosexual, so I don't want to make this like she or he, it's only like 4 letters or 2 letters, you know,
So
they are
the
people.
so the so the and the poses themselves are the decision of the person who's creating the image, right? So do you give any prompts in terms of like I mean obviously I mean you don't want to receive like like a big anus or something like like that's not going to be a very
I did,
interesting portrait.
I
I'm sure
actually
you have.
did.
I mean
Yeah, it was very abstract, so it probably will be for another series.
another series. the,
Anuses.
the behind the scenes story.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
I
so you've
actually.
been working on this for 5 or 6 years now. I know you've exhibited it several times. What is the response of the audience when they see this? Like, how do they relate to it? Because it could be considered like soft pornography by some, but I know your work and I know like the way that you think about the body and things like that. So I'm just kind of curious of you know what the response of the audience has been to the work and like the diversity of responses.
Well, here in Mexico, it's very funny because here in Mexico, I only have shown them in alternative spaces
Oh, really?
because people think like there is no community for this kind of art. So that's why I started to move them around the United States. So in San Antonio was okay. It was like a 3 days exhibition in very well-known event, which is called Luminaria, and it was in November. And well, I have a very funny story with that. I was in the plane, like with the artwork, and then the curator called me, and she was like, "Oh, do you have like on other kind of work? Because my boss didn't really saw your artwork, and he's a bit insecure of showing them." So I was like, "Dude, I'm just flying to San Antonio with the artwork. I cannot do anything else." But at the end, it was like very, very cool. We had to put like a sign, like here is
Right.
nudity. You can enter on your own. But I really enjoyed how the museography was done, because with this series I don't want to yeah, like a classic style
Right.
gallery. So I want to play with them a little. Each piece can dialogue by themselves. And yeah, at that moment there was like thousands of people because of this event, and I have received like very interesting comments like, "Oh, this opens me to explore with myself," or "I will send you my nudes," or yeah, you know, like positive comments. Then they moved to LA. I couldn't be there at the opening because I have work to do here, but they say where the project went well. I didn't receive many comments. We exhibited there like 40 or 50 pieces, and they were like very close. And I like it also. But yeah, I didn't receive many comments. In Nebraska, I also have like this great opening, and many people came. And there was like some lady who told me that it was very interesting to know the story behind the people that sent the image. And I, well, with the idea of this sending me these their nudes, I also asked, like, if you want to share some thoughts, or if you want to
Okay.
give some advice about this picture, or tell me why you did it, I will be like very happy. So I started to have like this record of people thoughts, but I didn't
Mhm.
know what to do with them until this moment that this lady at Nebraska told me. And then for Indianapolis, that was the last place where I was invited to exhibit this project, that the place that you are born, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you told me like it was like very
It's
funny
a
to have this
super,
project.
super conservative, super conservative a place, and not like not a very not very forward thinking of a region. Not everybody, but just the
Well,
general population. I mean, that's where like the Republican Party is like really strong. And
it happens to be like this place which is called Too Bad Art Factory, which is a very, I really love that place. It's like a huge museum, art gallery, art workshop. It's a interdisciplinary factory.
sure.
And yeah, they told me that the project could be like a bit of uh, uncomfortable for the community, not the community of the tube, but the
Right.
community
Right.
of Indianapolis. And for the invitation, the printer of the gallery didn't want it to print because it was for adults. So it was, yeah, a bit uh, well, not confusing, but like it's the 21st century. Why wouldn't you
Right.
print like an artwork? But well, at that place, that was the first time that I showed with a book. Well, not a book, a booklet, more like a booklet with all these thoughts of the people that have shared with me. And yeah, it was like 30 or 40 pages of like testimonies of people saying why they should do it, and I have like very good comments of it, because when you're sending a nude, you probably imagine, like, I mean, if you are watching a painting of a nude of a person that you don't know, you can imagine like, oh, she has like, or she or he or they have like a very confidence about sending these kind of images. But when you read it, the story behind, you can say, well, there are some stories like, oh, I was like with this guy who I really loved him, but when we broke up, he was like saying if I don't get back to him, he will publish the images that I sent. So I
Right.
was like very, very fear. So I decided to send this to the project in order to be free. No, so if and nowadays with the painting, I know that the image, if my ex-boyfriend just give it away to people, I will be okay, because now I know that there is nothing wrong with it. So
Right.
that
Right.
those kind of stories, and I really love them. And in that part, started a new sub project which is called Private Message, and it born here in the Mexico City. Just right before I went to Indianapolis, I have this exhibition which is called San Ildefonso. I work with Jair. You probably know Jair, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
This Andarin project. And he and I came with the idea of having like I don't know if you went to this exhibition, but we have like this room all prepared to have like nude space, like self nude space. So there was a phone connected to a TV out of the room in the gallery space,
Okay.
and people can like play with themselves and the cell phone. And
Ah.
there were people watching the movie, or well, not the movie, but the performance,
Uh-huh.
and the person who were like filming himself or herself didn't know that who was watching. So it creates
Ah.
like an atmosphere or a play like very interesting. And I
Well,
recorded
that's
those videos.
very similar to the idea of the internet and these
Yes,
dating applications and things,
yes, 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 yes.
because I mean, I think in from my cultural perspective, like there's there's a lot of there seems to be little consideration, especially the younger someone who's like in my age group. This is a very unusual thing. I mean, my generation is probably like bulletin boards and the first renditions of the internet and stuff, and like somebody would send you a photo and it would be like loading
Yes.
very slowly on your screen. And so I mean, there's a lot more comfort within the queer community with that concept and everything. But do you have to like, were these people who were already experienced doing this? Did you have to help them feel more comfortable with it? Like, how do you negotiate that with your model? Because if you have a model in the studio, you also have to negotiate this sense of safety within the space. And this is a very disconnected thing now. I mean, when you're in the space with the model, it's easier to negotiate. But when somebody's sending you something like that,
Yeah, well, they were performers, friends of mine.
okay,
So they were told you just have to play and you decide how nude you could be, or
okay,
how sexual you can like get in the mood. So they were free to do whatever they want. The only
okay,
thing was like they have to be semi-nude and play with the video, and the idea of they will be what there will be people watching them without they knowing. And those videos were presented in Indianapolis, so there was like a whole exhibition of the idea
uh,
of self confidence, self stimulation, self esteem, right? Like inviting people to be comfortable with themselves.
right.
And I really like that exhibition.
I mean, I think it's a really interesting way of like, um, developing these relationships with the model and getting people to feel a level of safety and comfort in it. And then like knowing that the outcome of this is that that painting will be seen in public spaces as well. Do you have like you have a special model release they have to sign and everything so they can't change their mind? And they like come into the gallery and they're like, oh, and I grab it and run out of the room.
Well, that's it's another like behavior of the people that I invite to the exhibitions. Sometimes they are like, "Oh, that's me," right? And they start taking photos with their friends and the nude. So it's kind of a, I don't know, like a stimulating way of seeing nudity in a
Sure.
positive way, I think.
Well, and like I mean, like the compositions you have behind you, the ones I had seen previously too, were more like the sort of like the pixels. Like I'd seen several where you did pixels. The ones behind you looks a little bit more realistic. The watercolor was a little bit more realistic. Yeah. So there are all these different styles that you're painting them in. Is it more like an exercise for you as a painter to like push your technique in different ways and things, or?
Well, the pixels is another series which is
Oh,
called
that's another
Complex.
series. Oh, okay. For some reason, I was thinking that was part of the series too. Okay.
No, that series is. I mean, they
Bad
are
curator,
like.
bad curator.
No, the I think the three projects that I work with are related in some way. First, the Send Nudes project started all the idea of the nudity and the intimacy. Then, with this idea of, well, I already portrayed the individuals, so how nudity can work in a group. So then
Okay.
become the El Desayuno project. And then since I couldn't share my project in the social media because Instagram and
Right.
Meta rules, I started to think about, okay, what is all what is the thing that we all know about, like as a society, that we talk about, but we are not allowed to share. So I thought about porn, right? Porn
Mm-hmm.
is like something everyone knows about it, but it's not like well received. So I started work with porn images, and that's how the Pixels series
Okay.
came. And yeah, and I discovered that sharing them in the Instagram, the algorithm didn't recognize the image, so it doesn't ban the image. So
Okay. I mean, the gallery has been, we've been blocked and like restricted and so many times. And it's usually, it's like, it's never anything, it's never pornographic. It could just be like, like, well, I got blocked on YouTube for your, just like,
yes,
so they took that down right away, even though it was like a little tiny fragment of the screen. I don't know how the algorithm figured that one out. But yeah,
yeah, mostly the nipples is what the algorithm recognize. I think well, I don't know, but yeah, it's very sensitive. I think that we have to do something with with that algorithm because it's very annoying.
oh yeah, no, I mean it's terrible because there's so many beautiful pieces of artwork that include some form of nudity fleshed within them, and then you can't publish them. You can't put them into the internet without it becoming some sort of to do some sort of block or something like that. And so how you said you have like over 150 paintings in the series right now. Is this something that you plan on continuing on for quite some time? And what does it bring to your studio life? Like
Yes,
what's the value?
I mean, I see this project as a life project, so
Okay.
it will always depend on not only in the mood, but in the time and how I being related to the project. This part of the project now, it will be in oil painting, which has more detail and very like strong connection with the painting, since I really love oil painting. And the call is still open, so I have like 300 in the row. So I think I will work with the project like
Forever, forever.
as forever as I can.
That makes me think about like the way that you described, the technology changing and sort of creating this opportunity for people to take photos of themselves in different ways. But have you noticed as an artist a change in the aesthetics or the ability of people to compose images as time has gone on? Because that's the thing that always surprises me as an artist when I see people's selfies or anything. I'm just like, maybe not put the goat in the background, maybe not shoot yourself in a bathroom where I could see that you don't clean, or like I'm just curious if the compositions has also evolved over time as people have become more aware and conscious of the selfie sort of culture connected to the pornography thing too.
Well, yeah, what I like of this kind of portraits, it's like, well, as the way I see him, you are not seeing like a nude person. You are seeing more like a scene where you can know
Right.
if, I mean, for example, I really love this guy because he has like in his bathroom all these toys, and you can
Right.
tell that it's a big room, and you can see very much of their personality, right? Like they
Right.
have like these compositions. I really love how every portrait is very different from one to another, because even if it's, I mean, we all have like bodies, right? But what it's behind or in front of the body, but another atmosphere. And yeah, every nude are very different from each other. So I really like those uh, ways of creating art. Like with this project, it's also about having people create an image. And I can assure that the percentage of the artists that there are there, it's minimum, right? Like, well, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know because I don't know them, but I probably, for the people that I invited and I know them, I can tell that there are like uh, different professions. So
Right.
I love the idea of people making art, right? Like
Right.
having them to work with image and share their intimacy. In Instagram, since I cannot use the hashtag Send Nudes because the hashtag is blocked, banned, I started using inti intimidad compartida, like share
Uh-huh.
intimacy.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So I really love the idea of having this uh, not sexual idea of the body, which is and which can be, like if
Right.
some people send me those, I will paint them. But even if there were images of like a selfie masturbating or in a having sex, I don't know. I think that the atmosphere will create like this idea of intimacy and
Right.
not sexual gaze. So also another idea of the project is to, I mean, you can have one piece in your collection or in your wall, but the idea of things or how I imagine always how the project would be exhibited, it's like having this wall of nudes,
Right.
like
Right. Just filling it, just like almost like a two-dimensional scrapbook on the wall of like a grid of images, so that do you think? I mean, I imagine that the level of intimacy seeing them in a group is very different than the level of intimacy if you like isolated each one of them in its own little, space away from each other. That would completely change the intentions. It could redirect people
Yes,
significantly.
because also I wanted to make this difference, which I can make it in English and not in Spanish. Well, I don't know, or
Mm-hmm.
probably, but the difference between nude and naked,
Okay,
you
good.
know,
Okay,
like with this idea of uh, empower yourself to share your intimacy
right,
is to allow people to see you nude, but not naked, because naked
right,
is more like vulnerable. And there
right,
is nothing wrong with being vulnerable with yourself, with others, but having conscious of
right,
that you are doing that in purpose, you know?
right.
So
Yeah,
yeah, with
I
this
love
project.
I love this ideal because it has like an educational component to it because it's not necessarily like, oh, this is like a, oh, here's our safe sex campaign or something like that. It's not that kind of education. It's just like um this education with the way that we perceive that other people see our bodies and our desire or non-desire to be seen nude and vulnerable like that, and then like offering this to an artist is such a trust. There's like a level of trust that has to be there for someone to do that. Have you ever painted one and then somebody was like, no, 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 just destroy it. Like this is not going to.
Well, there was one who actually said it was a commission, which is another part of the project that I really love. That people start asking me for a painting in my style, for a manner of saying. Well, there was this person who asked me to do this portrait, but she was like, "Okay, you can do it, but you cannot show the picture in any
Mm,
space." So that was very interesting because I did the portrait and I handed to her and I forgot about that. But well, when she started to see how the project was like exhibited and in a way of
mm,
empowerment of the body, then she asked me to place her artwork in an exhibition.
mm.
So that was very I felt great, because
Right, very gratifying because then it's erasing that sort of nervous boundary between you and your subject as well, and it's showing you that you're moving in the right direction with the work. Otherwise, people would be like going up and tearing them off the wall and like running with them down the street or something like that. I'm exaggerating. I don't know that would ever happen. But.
no, but actually, like this project has another like well has make other people to start working with the idea of asking nudes. Some in good ways, some others in a very bad ways. There was when I exhibited this project at San Miguel de Allende, I reopened the call. Well, not reopened, but like I started like um to make it public,
Promote, right?
and it becomes well, yeah. Some people came to me and was like, "Oh, I saw you started to ask more nudes." And there was this guy who asked me to send the nudes to send me your call, but with another email. So I was like, no, that's not legit.
Right.
So
I mean, that's kind of the way that also connects it to the internet and like the whole idea of like why people get nervous and why you have to wear a T-shirt that says your nudes are safe with me because of the way those things culturally get circulated and sort of blow out of proportions and things too. So that's very interesting. That yeah, well, I mean, so where do we find your work at? Where do we find you on social media? And do you have and is I see Send Nudes behind you. That's available on a website. Do you want to point people in the direction of that?
yes, Well, the URL is
Okay.
miguelcasco.com/send/nudes.
Okay.
And my social media, it's three guiones bajos. How do you say it?
The underscore.
Underscore, three
Yeah.
underscores, then Miguel Casco.
I just, it's so weird when these, it's so hard to get like names in social media anymore because there's so many accounts and everything, and we have to like come up with all these complicated
Yes.
ways to get people there. Well, that's fantastic. I am really looking forward to exhibiting the work in the Clavo Movimiento art fair, which will be for Semana de Arte here in Mexico City, February 9th through the 11th is the
Yeah,
art
it's
fair.
three,
Yeah,
four
it's
weeks, 4 weeks from
4 weeks.
now.
I know. I'm having a little. I'm not sleeping very well. I'm having like minor panic attacks when I think about all the things that need to be
Oh,
done. And you were, of course, you were in volume one of the Bureau of Queer Art, and then you'll be in volume three, which will be published with this show as well.
which are
So
amazing. I really love the print quality. Yeah, they are lovely.
I know it's so hard because you never know what you're going to get back with these print on demand services. So I was so happy that it's a good quality service and everything too. We use blurb.com. And if you go into blurb.com, you can, type in Art Gallery Studios, or you can go to our artgallerystudios.com and you can download the PDF for free, always, of the magazines. The first and second editions are there. And then you can purchase a print copy. I love having the print copy. I mean, it's just a
Yeah,
totally different experience, and to see the images on the page, and also I also feel like I, as a designer and artist myself, I try to put a lot more emphasis on the images, so it's more like a coffee table book too. It can exist that way. So
yeah,
I
they are
think it's
very
really
beautiful.
wonderful. And I encourage people to like go check out the Desayuno, which was a film that you made, the sort of uh, like Bacchus sort of
Yes.
sunrise buffet in a garden of nude people, and then all the paintings. The paintings, oh my God, they're just so gorgeous. I mean, we've exhibited them a couple of times, and there's these huge, like I want to say about like 60 inches. I can't remember centimeters wise. It was like 90 centimeters or something. 120 or
160
160, right?
centimeters.
So they're quite large, beautiful brown disc paintings that are just absolutely gorgeous. So one day we're going to get like the entire gallery filled with them, and then do like the Desayuno's performance in the gallery. That's always we've talked about this like 1,000 times. Like it's just like finding the right moment, like when you're available, the work is available, and it makes sense with what we're doing. So, but I do appreciate the collaboration. We've been collaborating for at least 2 years. I think the first time I showed you was November of
Yeah,
21.
this is the
So
third year,
yeah, so this will be the third
and
year
I'm
that
very
you've been.
happy with you working.
Yeah, it's just so. I mean, when you find an artist who's as talented as you and easy to work with, it's like a no-brainer. So this is an anti-diva zone. So no divas allowed.
Thank you so
Anyway,
much, Michael.
yeah, thank you.
Well, I wanted also to invite people to read the project text. If you well, you can see all the images that have been done in the
Right.
project. Um, but here there are like the conversations that we have with the people that sent the images, and there
Okay.
are some texts that friends and very well-known people have been done with the project, and two of me that I will soon translate to English, because right now they are in Spanish, but the others are English and Spanish versions.
Just
So yeah,
right click and Google Translate. We'll take care of it for you. All right. Thank you, Miguel. I really appreciate your time.
thank you so much, Michael, and see you on Clavo.
Yeah.